Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diving. Welcome you to another Degrassism. And today we take a look at the top 6 most unrealistic Degrassi storylines of all time. I don't remember who the guy was who did the most unrealistic Degrassi storyline Reddit post, and I apologize. But I'm piggybacking off this because I'm thinking to myself, let's let the fans decide what would be the most unrealistic Degrassi storyline thing to be top 6. Unfortunately, like I said, top 6, and then I said any I completely missed. I'm going to add them into the thing. But when I look at the comments, is that hold on, hang on here. Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, there were 2 votes. So, well, I did top 6. Now, the original top 6, I had Claire's vampire fanfic because I'm thinking to myself that was unrealistic. But then people said, no, that's very realistic. So I'm taking Claire out of the thing and putting in Peter's meth addiction. So number 7 is Peter's meth addiction, the 48-hour addiction, as you will. So Peter's 48-hour addiction was huge. Peter, of course, was played off as the bad guy from season 5, taking advantage of Manny and showing her flashing video to the school and all that, ending up with Emma for some dumb reason. And then, Peter was upset when Emma nearly going towards Sean season 6, so he tried to prevent that, but it just made Emma push towards Sean more. And then he was with Darcy a couple of times and, cried crocodile tears. And then, he was with nobody. He was with Darcy, and then she left for Africa, which left Peter to ponder, is it me that is bad? Yes, Peter, it is. So anyway, number that thing. And then the next one was Mia, because he grew close to Mia, knowing that Mia had a young daughter, Isabella, and Peter's half sister is a toddler too. So, he probably liked little kids and all that. The simple fact is that, Peter was happy with Mia, and Mia was going through modeling and all that. Fortunately, Mia's mom actually said that she would allow herself to take care of Isabella while Mia had a good year. Well, actually, no, that was season 8, wasn't it? Yeah, season 9, things had changed, and Lucas was nowhere to be found. But the simple fact is that Peter, wanted to be close to Mia and knew Mia's modeling thing and wanted to take drugs to get into the crowd, the it crowd. Unfortunately, though, he doesn't do well, and after 2 days, he declares himself an addict and he's upset that Mia goes to Paris. I don't know if she goes with or without Isabella. I think she doesn't. But anyway, Peter is upset, and then, Hatzilakos comes back from Regina to deal with Peter's drug addiction, all that. And then she becomes principal once the chef gets eliminated for some reason. I don't know if it was the events of Degrassi Goes Hollywood when he let Jay and underagers go to California on a school bus, a school bus. You know what? That's weird. So yeah, a lot of people said it was unrealistic because Peter's addiction was only 2 days and he calls himself an addict. Yeah, I get it, but I think that Peter deserved better. And it brought Hatzilakos back and made the school better. But then Hatzilakos then decides to leave at the end of season 9 and give Simpson the principalship. I know it's not a word, but fight me on that. All right, so number 6 on the list. Well, number 6 is Jimmy and Spinner's t-shirt shop from season 6. Now, Jimmy and Spinner had a tumultuous relationship, and not just because of the Rick Murray situation. It was pointed that Spinner was jealous of Jimmy's wealth and all that. Spinner was trying to make ends meet. Spinner's family was trying to make ends meet, and Jimmy's parents would basically just buy him stuff and give him money to buy pizza while they both were working. Spinner stole Jimmy's MP3 but gave it back. But the relationship was just flawed and all that. They were good friends a little bit. Season 3, Spinner and Jimmy had problems with, Marco coming out of the closet. Like Jimmy was opposed to Spinner's homophobic remarks. Spinner grew out of it. And then, of course, season 4, we all know about Spinner and Jimmy pairing up to try to destroy Rick and force him out of the school. But then Jimmy switches sides because Rick gets to Jimmy by saying that, I'm being tormented and now Toby's going to be targeted too. Jimmy learns that the bullying's gone too far. Rick's not going anywhere. He tries to stop it, but Spinner, Jay, and Alex are pissed off. More so that, Jimmy's switching sides. And Jimmy did dump Spinner. I mean, Rick into that dumpster. But regardless of that, Spinner and Jay trying to take the heat off themselves decided to tell Rick in the bathroom. Well, they didn't tell Rick to his face, but they basically said to Rick that Jimmy set the whole thing up. Rick shoots Jimmy, and Spinner's guilt prevents him from going to the hospital. But then he tells Jimmy that you know um, what we did in the bathroom. And after all, Spinner did tell Jimmy while they're playing basketball about the prank, the painted feathers. Jimmy breaks off with Spinner. Spinner has to go through a redemption arc, which he does, and then they do a T-shirt shop, which was kind of weird because Jimmy was a jock and all that. I know he was in a wheelchair and all that, but a T-shirt shop, kind of weird. But Spinner and Jimmy were good friends, even though they should not have been. All right, so number 5 is Jay and Silent Bob doing a movie at Degrassi season 4. This was really unrealistic for me. Like, the whole season 4 was just a weird spin of events. No pun intended. But anywho, so Degrassi was in bad spirits after the Rick situation because there were questions on if the faculty should have done something. Simpson takes accountability, although he should have worked dead better, and the other teachers should have taken more accountability. I think they kind of figured that Rick was okay, but then the warning signs came and they should have kept pushing. Radich, canceling Degrassi's Dracula because of the gory nature and it's too close to the Rick situation. I understand you can postpone it and no big deal. But basically, he wanted a musical to show how good Degrassi is. It's more for the PR thing. But it blows up in his face. Liberty sings a Radish's song to him. He overreacts. And then the next day, he's out the door. The school board finally gets rid of him. And then, Degrassi's put under zero tolerance by the school board because of the Rick situation. Never mind that, Rick brought a gun to the school. Degrassi was kind of being punished for their bullying and all that with the zero tolerance thing. And that's kind of how Spinner got expelled, which was strange because I think zero tolerance would have probably ruined other people too. So, for some strange reason, the season 4 finale had to do with Jay and Silent Bob, Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. Wanting to do a movie at Degrassi with Alanis Morissette as the principal. I mean, Alanis Morissette, wow, I can't believe you got her. Anyway, so it was weird that Degrassi, going through a whole host of emotions, would get this film. But of course, Kevin Smith was getting the hots for Caitlin because Kevin Smith in real life had the hots for the girl who played Caitlin, Stacey Michigan. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name, but the fact of the matter is that, Kevin Smith did this stuff. And it's weird how he stole Caitlin from Joey, and that was the weird storyline. They filmed the movie. Craig was supposed to do the music for the movie, but then he's off his meds because Ashley wants to move to England. So he has problems with that. It was kind of weird. Everyone's like, holy crow. That was weird because, Degrassi's going through a tragedy, but it was definitely PR. Like, how could they have been at Degrassi, of all places? How did they get the movie location? That doesn't make sense. I mean, yeah, for how bad everyone blames Radich for trying to do PR, Hatzalakos was just as worse with her PR moves and all that. I know someone made a comment saying, well, the Jay and Silent Bob movies were the catalyst of the school becoming a bizarre white version of Fame. All that. Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. So I thought I found something else. But yeah, Bell Hatzalakos doing the PR thing. It was kind of weird. There's a number. Let's see. So Peter was number 7. Teacher was number 5. Then no 6 and 5 is Jay. Okay, so number 4 is Emma marrying Spinner in season 9. At the end of season 9. So Emma had boy issues. We all know that. She had a relationship with Sean in season 1, but he ruined it by accidentally shoving her during his fight with Jimmy. Emma then had no guy. Well, she was actually pining for Craig, but Maddie stole Craig from her, so she backed off, I guess. And then Sean came back into her life, and then they have a relationship until near the start of season 3 when Jay manages to get Sean to embraces inner gangster and leaves Emma. So Emma goes with Chris. And unfortunately, that relationship didn't go so well. This season 4, they were broken up, and then Emma tries to prevent Liberty from dating Chris for some dumb reason, and Emma gets ostracized. Emma then didn't have a relationship with a guy. She kind of did with Jay in a sense, but I think that was just for trauma, and Emma was just not being herself. And then in season 5, she goes after Peter. Still, after Peter, frames Manny for stuff and forces Manny to move in with Emma's family. I think Emma, in a way, was happy because now she can control Manny. But then, Emma and Peter break up in season 6 because Peter was trying to prevent Sean from getting back in Emma's life, which failed miserably. Emma and Sean have their troubles in season 6 before he leaves for the army. And then Emma dates Damien, who cheats on her with Liberty. Emma rushes up, and then Emma goes with Kelly for seasons 8 and 9, becomes a little bit controlling. Kelly goes back to the Yukon. Emma tries to do her recycle project by herself, but can't do it. And then, she works at the dot. And then for some reason, Emma and Spinner were there, but Emma accidentally burns the dot down with a sandwich grill. And then, she and Jay take Spinner to Niagara Falls to, cheer him up. And then Emma and Spinner accidentally get married, and then they were not sure, so they decide, well, they go on the beach. And actually, Spike and Snake are renewing their vows, so Emma and Spinner decide to have a re-wedding at a beach in front of their friends and family. There were a lot of people there, like Manny and Liberty were there. I stand in for Toby, I guess. Jane was trying to prevent the wedding, but Manny tells her not to. It was weird how, Spemma was. And then, they came back in season 16 / next class season 2 and the Throwback Thursday and say they're still married. It was like, what? So, yeah, that was unrealistic that Emma married Spinner. And, Spinner had girl troubles too. I mean, he ruined his relationship with Paige. Let's not forget about that. But, Jane cheated on Spinner with Declan. Spinner was feeling kind of low about that. And, I guess he wanted a girl. So it was weird. All right, so number 3 is Vegas. The one that actually started this whole unrealistic thing was the Vegas thing. I put it at number 3. Now, it was number 2 in the poll, but the other suggestion actually is good enough to be number 2 in my mind. So, yeah, so out of the 467 votes in the poll, Vegas had 118. It took second. I'll tell you who number 1 is because I'm going to make that number 1. Anyway, so yeah, the Vegas in season 12. Drew and Bianca had a rocky relationship and all that. Bianca was part of a gang and all that. Drew was just blinded by her things. And I kind of figured that Bianca was leading Drew along. But, of course, I got chastised. Rightfully so. Anyway, so it was weird that Drew and Bianca decided to go to Vegas to get married and all that. Audra throws them a engagement party and all that. So someone put the Degrassi thing very eloquently. It was Worried Special who said this. The Vegas plot makes no sense. No Vegas hotel or airline would ever pay for a bunch of underage kids to go party there. It's too risky, and the hotel would assume responsibility if something happened. As an American college student, that's her or him, I can confirm Vegas is probably the second strictest city to party in. It's all been strict because it's such a crazy idea for a party. They don't let minors into most venues for liability reasons. Casinos at night. Well, yeah. Plus, why would these parents allow these kids to go to Vegas unaccompanied for days? And why would the show choose Vegas when Montreal's right there and has a much lower drinking age? Yeah, that's right. Quebec has a lower drinking age than Ontario does. But anyway, after Degrassi started airing on Team Nick, they were so obsessed with America for no reason. So many random trips to America and then talking about American colleges and all that. In Paige's class, everyone stayed loyal in Canada. All that. And why would Becky go to UVM, the biggest stoner school in America? Vermont? Yeah, I know that. So, yeah, the Vegas thing, it was like weird. And, Katie ends up gambling her college funds away and then is prompted by a social media founder to sleep with him for the money. And I don't think she does. This was kind of in the area where I didn't really watch Degrassi that much, so I'm not familiar. But yeah, Drew and Bianca are ready to get married, and then they decide not to. Well, Audra decides to allow the marriage, but then she says, "But think about school first." So they both decide, okay, well, let's go through school first. Bianca goes to college. Drew is still at Degrassi, and then all of a sudden, Bianca breaks up with Drew, and it was like shocking to Drew. And Drew then decides his next relationships were with Zoe and Becky, which is like unusual. Dating Becky was terrible for Drew. I mean, why would Drew go with Becky? I mean, Becky was the love of his brother, quote unquote brother, Adam. So yeah, that is real unrealistic going to Vegas and all that. Yeah, and it gets going to like a Canadian city and all that. But yeah, Vegas was seemed to be a little bit unrealistic. All right, so number 2 on the list, the one that's not in the poll but was told. Somebody said, and it was Dean Barf Bean Cup. Dean Barf Bean Cup says, "Can I write in Degrassi nudes?" I say, I think I'll add that into the top 6 and take out Claire's fanfic. But then I remember about Peter's drug thing. So yeah, so I'm gonna make that number 2. So number 2 is Degrassi nudes. It is completely unrealistic how everything went down. All right, so season 14 happens, and Zoe is the head cheerleader for the Spirit Squad. Let's not forget that Zoe in season 13 was raped by Luke Baker and his friend Neil. I finally remember the second guy's name. But anyway, yeah. So she's got problems. And then they want more money for their Spirit Squad outfits. So they decide to sell sexy photos of themselves to get the school supply to get the supplies. They all do it, and Frankie actually is not so sure about it because she's not sure if that's the best move for her. And she has her reservations. Let's not forget that Hunter, Frankie's twin brother, actually is buying these photos. It's like you're unintentionally buying your own sister's photos. What the fuck, Hunter? And this was a creepy Hunter face before he went psycho in season 15 slash next class season 1. But the sad reality is that Frankie says no, and then Zoe says, "Well, you're off the squad, and don't tell anyone about this because you're just as guilty as everyone else." So he basically bosses everyone around to keep doing it because they're in too deep and all that. Of course, there's a lot of finger pointing, blaming about stuff and all that. At a school assembly, Simpson is about to talk about it, and then the stuff gets on everyone's cell phones and all that. It was like creepy. And Degrassi was hosting a giant cheerleading competition too in the middle of Firestarter, the episode. And Miles's dad is trying to run for mayor of Toronto, so he promises to build a new wing for Degrassi. It's like Degrassi's big enough as is. Why would you build a new wing? And I'm thinking to myself, it's nepotism because his 3 kids go to Degrassi. I wonder if none of them went to Degrassi, would he do something for Degrassi? No. And did he make promises to help other schools? Probably not. I figured it was just a publicity move. So anyhow, the cheerleading competition happens and then gets smoked out by, a guy trying to go after Zoe for her role in Degrassi nudes. It's revealed that Winston was upset that Frankie was off the cheerleading squad and decided to do something good for his girlfriend, all that for the relationship. So he's upset by that, but then Lola and other cheerleaders tell her that, you have to come clean with the Degrassi nudes thing because you don't want the girls hating you. So Zoe decides to go to the cops and tell everything after everything settles down. Mr. Hollingsworth still wins the mayor position and probably makes Snake grovel at him, but that's not the point. The point is that, the punishments were huge. Like Zoe faced 5 years in jail, but then did community service to lessen her thing. And we don't know if there really was a trial for the cheerleading thing. But the problem was that Degrassi was almost dead in the water after season 14. They didn't know if they were going to do next class and all that, but they did. And yet, there's no mention of the Degrassi nudes thing past season 14, I think, right? I think so. So anyway, yeah, Degrassi just didn't go there. It went there for the wrong reasons. But yeah, and then the other girls just got detentions and all that. The punishments didn't really fit the crime. So he should have went to jail or went to juvie, no matter what her lawyer does. Because Zoe was the ringleader. And of course, Grace got lucky got through. She was the one who made the website and kept the money and all that. Because Zoe and Grace were living together, I think. Can't remember. But yeah, Grace got no punishment because I guess they couldn't trace anything to her, and so he didn't want to get Grace in trouble. So that's what it is. Yeah, Degrassi nudes and Simpson being canned because of his lack of knowledge. Fortunately for Simpson, in next class he got back to being principal. I guess because they couldn't really sabotage him, and they made him sit out half a season, if you will. But the funny thing about that is it's a perfect segue to number one, which had 146 votes out of the 467, and that's the Summer Girls movie. I know it's called Don't Look Back as well, but I call it Summer Girls. So anyway, Tristan narrates with a video log, if you will, about the crazy summer and all that. Because Zoe had to go to summer school, I guess, because of the whole Degrassi Nudes thing, and wanted to piggyback off Winston and Miles, I guess? No, it couldn't be Miles. Well, anyway, Winston and somebody else, but yeah, I wanted to, and Tristan, I guess. Yeah, I wanted to piggyback because then she could pass all that. Maya tries to become a lifeguard, but gets distracted by Sig and loses her chance. So she becomes a nanny for a music producer trying to get in the music industry. And ironically, the girl that got the position before Maya, Gloria, was kidnapped and all that. So that's how Maya got the position. Many things happened and all that. Frankie was with a guy who really liked her and all that. Frankie was an intern for her dad, being the mayor over the summer. So yeah, that romance happened. And then, weird things happened. Like Maya in one scene plays with a Ouija board with the kids, and then it spells CAM, and I think she brushes it off. But Maya is pressured by Sig to come clean to the producer, saying that you can't ruin your kids and all that. So that's what she does, at the risk of having her nanny job and her music industry kicking in the door scenario shattered. And to me, it was like Maya was just maybe Maya just had the thing that trying to protect she was trying to protect people and all that, especially the music producers' kids, because this was one of the problems with Cam's death is that it made Maya scared that she did the wrong thing. And even though that she saved Miles, quote unquote, in season 14, she still had guilt or something. But yeah, then there was a kidnapping thing. Frankie's boyfriend wants a certain amount of money, saying that as a ransom, like if you pay that ransom, stop beeping me. Anyway, Frankie's boyfriend wanted a certain amount of money, and Frankie spent all her money on that Ray Gatsby party. So she wants to bug Hunter for his half of the birthday money, because they're twins. And then we soon learned that the boyfriend and Gloria were working together to extort money from the Hollinsworths. I guess you kind of know that the Hollinsworths were rich and all that stuff, and you want to screw the mayor of Toronto, which is fine. But the fact of the matter is that, Maya trying to fix the problem and get Gloria and save Gloria and all that, maybe trying to help Gloria out, ends up getting kidnapped by Gloria and her accomplice. And, Maya doesn't have any way of communicating. And then Zoe, Winston, and Tristan find out through math where Maya would be. And of course, I'll talk about the unrealistic part later. But the sad fact was that, thankfully Maya was saved. Gloria and her compass got jail time and all that. And Frankie didn't have to give up the money and all that, which is great. But Frankie still felt something for that guy. Besides, Frankie and Winston broke off for some reason. I guess because Frankie was attracted to the other intern, Winston broke it off. But anyway, at the end, Zoe and her two friends get commendations and medals from Mayor Hollingsworth. Maya feels relieved, and even more so that the music producer actually decided to spend more time with the kids and actually would get Maya into the music industry, and Maya felt so good about herself. So that's what it was. And the funny thing about that is that the events of the end of season 14 were never referenced in next class, were never hinted at. So yeah, that whole episode was not really hinted at. Okay, maybe Frankie Winston breaking off, but nothing else happened. They didn't talk about how Maya was nearly kidnapped, how Zoe was kind of a hero, how Frankie almost got with money. Unrealistic. And also the unrealistic thing is the fact that Maya was missing. Why weren't her parents informed? Why weren't there like a super police search and all that? Why wasn't there more to help Maya out? It just didn't make sense. And then, of course, Tristan ends the vlog by saying that you think things are bad now, wait till the next class comes in. And I'm thinking, they're going to keep Degrassi going? I thought they were done for it after 14 years. It would have been nice. But yeah, they just basically went there because of how, Family Channel in the US, I mean, Canada, and was it Netflix in the US? I think it was Netflix, or yeah, I think it was Netflix who wanted to purchase Degrassi for like a little bit, and then they went with Next Class and added more storylines to like Zoe, Maya, Miles, and Sig, among others. So yeah, it was weird how the kidnapping plot and the extortion and Maya's issues. It was unrealistic. In fact, I think people voted Summer Girls the worst Degrassi episode of all time, if memory serves me right. But I think I'm right. But so things are very unrealistic in the world today. But things happen for a reason, and that was definitely unrealistic. Surprise Vegas didn't win the poll, but whatever. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching.